how do you keep moving it along in a way that is going to make it easy for them to say yes, get to know you even better? Because once you get your foot in the door, hence the name, then it's easier for them to think of you, call you back, use you repeatedly, refer you. All these different things get better as soon as you actually can get your foot in the door. You have to sell them what they want and then deliver what they need. All we have to do is hear what that want is and then tell them, I know exactly how to get you there.
Hey everyone, welcome back to There's a Workshop for That. Today I have a special episode with someone I just met a few weeks ago. I can't believe it because since then a lot happens. My guest is Tim Leake, the founder of Let's Lightbulb, and it's a real pleasure to have him on the show. Tim is an experienced facilitator. He has been facilitating workshops with executive leaders since over 17 years. We have a few things in common. We have been going through the same certification program by AG and Smart a few years ago. We are both working with organizations and we love facilitation. Both support freelance facilitators to level up their skills and grow their business. And so honestly, we could have been competitors, but it's not like this. We had a really nice interaction and connection through LinkedIn. We ended up in a conversation about something we kept hearing from facilitators, how hard it is to get their feet into companies. And we went on this call together, and this conversation turned into unplanned ideation session where ideas were flashing out of our little brains on how to create those open sesames. I will not reveal too much yet. We will deep dive into what became a collaboration. And I'm shutting my mouth now. Hi, Tim. How are you?
So good to be here. Thanks so much for having me. It's been so fun. As you mentioned, we just barely met, I don't know, maybe a month ago. I forget when that first call was. But we've been talking every week since, basically, because we've been collaborating on this project that we're going to tell everybody about. And it's been just so fun getting to know you and collaborating with you and all that. And it started because we wanted to do this podcast, but we actually pushed the podcast back a little so we could jump into it.
It started because you comment on a post where I was talking about my mastermind, where we were talking about the fact that the mentees just created what I called by that time a lead magnet workshop, and I didn't like this word. And you commented something like,
I said I always have called them a door opener workshop.
Door opener workshop. And I was like, let's talk about it on a podcast. But then we stopped to think about it, and we will reveal the whole story after. Yes, I think since then we met every week, actually.
Yeah. Well, I'm all about my whole positioning now is that I help people stop overthinking and start moving. So what I love about this is I think I have lovingly pushed us both to move this project forward really, really quickly. And it's in a great spot.
It was just a chat and it became a thing.
Yeah.
Crazy. So sometimes, it clicks with some people, the same way of thinking, the same way of having great idea, like one idea a minute, and it's just what happened with us. But let's have a step back because I would like you to introduce yourself, to tell me, okay, you are a workshop facilitator. How did you come to this? What is your background?
Yeah, so it's a weird background, and I wish there was a faster way to tell the story because there isn't. But I feel like I bring a unique combination of things to facilitation. So I try to lean into all of that. My background is I got my start in the advertising industry. So I started as a copywriter, and then I was a creative director. And so I made TV commercials. That's basically what we did. And then there was a point in the advertising world, in the marketing world, when digital rose up and kind of made making TV commercials not the main thing that we did anymore. And everything changed about it. And around that time, and this was about 2009 or 2010, 10, I got involved with this organization called Hyper Island, which is a Swedish organization that is probably well known to many folks in the facilitation community. And that's how I got to know facilitation. I actually came in as what they would call a guest speaker, and we had main facilitators, but and I was very bad at the facilitation part. I was very much like, let me share my wisdom at the beginning. And I learned from some really amazing people how to become a better facilitator. And I started loving that aspect of it, such that my sessions later on weren't really about me presenting slides as much as guiding people through a facilitated experience by which they unlocked an understanding. And all of that work was done with primarily executive leaders at very big companies around the world. And I felt very lucky to be able to do that. I worked with Hyper Island freelance over the course of 10 years, but I worked for them full time for 2 years. So I left my creative director role and joined them because I was really enjoying what we were doing there. And I felt like that was the future more than making banner ads, which is what we were doing at that point, primarily in the advertising world. And it had just fractured and become less fun. And so I worked full time for them for 2 years and worked with some really giant clients out there, creating these incredible facilitated programs that transformed things. And these were expensive, high value kinds of workshops that we did. So I built my facilitation muscles on that kind of work. At a certain point, one of my clients in this hired me away and pulled me back into the advertising world. And I became the chief marketing and innovation officer for this advertising agency. So I then had a leadership role as part of the C-suite for about a decade. And that was one of the larger independent advertising agencies in the United States. And then what I like to say during that time was I was in charge of marketing for an ad agency and innovation, which meant I was in charge of nothing. I could only facilitate other groups to be able to do what we wanted to do, right? Like you don't do innovation. Other groups have to be involved in that. So everything I did was very workshop oriented, facilitation oriented. And I'd started doing facilitation trainings. And I always said, there's always that classic question when you meet with a new client of what is your superpower? And I always said, well, my superpower is, it's 9:26 right now. If you told me at 9:30 we had to do a workshop on something, I could run it. And I felt like that was my superpower. So then when I left, I wanted to start my own company because things are changing a lot in the advertising space. I didn't see it as my future. I wasn't as excited about it anymore. And I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and do my own thing. And so it became natural that I leaned into facilitation. And then I specifically leaned into a niche for myself of working with senior teams at larger clients because that was my background. Not every facilitator can say that, but I had been doing that at that point for 15 years, now 17 years. And that worked well for me to get in the door because I had that level of experience. I can speak to that level of person, all of that. And I also do a lot of speaking around the world. I do a lot of keynote talks and everything and have done that over the last 15 years or so as well. So it wasn't a short explanation, what I just shared, but that's kind of my story. Oh, I always forget to say this too. I have an improv background as well. Like in the early 2000s, I know I look much too young for this, but it was in the early 2000s. I performed with an improv team in Los Angeles for about a year, almost 2 years that I did that. And the biggest claim to fame of our improv team is that one of the members on my team went on to be a regular on the American version of The Office after that. So she was somebody that I worked closely with in the improv world. So I think that has a lot to do with my point of view on things. I'm a big believer in an improv mindset and bringing that energy to workshops and stuff like that.
So you have really a great combination between so you were in the best school with Hyper Highland to learn all the facilitation with the senior people, right? So with big companies, you have your advertisement background that can help you also sell yourself and promote yourself as a freelance workshop facilitator now. And the improv thing, this is something that I hear a lot. Our good friend Mehdi has also
Yeah.
made like improv class, and this is something I would love to do. I never did it,
So fun.
but this is something I would really love to do. So I will look for it. I think I have this background in music. So, of course, when you give concerts, you have also to look with the
Yeah.
audience, how they are reacting. I think, yeah, you have the perfect combination. And I'm so happy that we could meet.
And related to what we'll talk about, I think everybody out there has their own unique background, and all you can do is play the cards that you have and lean into that. We were talking about friends that were school teachers and became facilitators. They've got a different background, but they can lean into that specialty, and that's what makes them unique in what they're bringing that other people can't, and that's so important.
Yes, I think we all have to find out what the little spice that each of us has that is different from others to
Yeah.
differentiate ourselves. But there are some combinations that are very lucky. You were telling about the fact that since you've been working with all these big companies now, as you went freelance, it was no problem for you, no struggling to target this kind of senior audience because you know how to talk to them.
I wouldn't say there was no struggle at all, but there's a I do know how to talk to them, and then there's a proof point to it. It doesn't make it easier to get them
Yeah,
to take the call,
absolutely.
if you don't, and even the people that you feel like, "Oh, we go way back," they don't hire you right away.
It's
It's
true.
always
It's
funny how it works.
absolutely true.
Yeah,
Absolutely true. But you know their language and you know how
yeah.
to show up. And this is also something that we need to learn. I was telling you the other day that of course when you have been like me, for example, in corporates as a head of project management, I've been reporting to CEO, CTO all the time. So of course I know how to talk to them,
Mm,
as you say. Doesn't make it always easier,
yeah.
but if you want to work with this kind of people, you know how to talk to them. It's something that some facilitators who are coming from other background maybe not have and need to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's easy enough to learn. It really is. It's
it
just about
is.
understanding the language. It is like translating it. And you speak way more languages than I do, so you can probably relate. But it's understanding, oh, this is what I mean and this is what they care about. Something I talk about this all the time, and I do think it's related to our platform we'll talk about, which is, sorry, I'm just going to keep teasing that until we get to it. But it's that it's really important if you want to work with really any kind of clients, but especially higher paying clients or more corporate clients, you have to sell them what they want and then deliver what they need. And
Yes.
most facilitators spend too much time talking about what they need
Hmm.
and or what their process is and how we're going to do it and what makes me different is, and we start talking about all the stuff they don't care about when they have a very specific want, and all we have to do is hear what that want is and then tell them, up, I know exactly how to get you there. Avoid getting into the trap of talking about the nitty gritty details because they will sometimes ask, but they don't really want to know. They ask
Yeah.
because they think it matters. I always say it's like if I hired a contractor to paint the house, I'm going to ask them questions to make sure that they sort of know what they're talking about, but I don't really want to get into a conversation about paint. Like, I don't really care. I just ask because I feel like I'm supposed to in order to
Yeah.
make sure that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely. As we met, we were talking about the biggest struggle of the people we support in our
Mm.
coachings and in our different programs. You have,
ROI, facilitator boot camp is what I call it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I have the Facilipreneur Mastermind. And I think in all our programs, the challenge that they all have, and that was the starting point of our conversation, is how do I get my feet into companies?
Yeah.
And this is what we were thinking about. But yes, you need to make a lot of networking. You need to make yourself visible. You need to be clear about your positionings so that you are seen as a expert in something.
Hmm.
But not everyone is an expert in something, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious because you work with these groups too. Not everybody is an expert in something. I have found that you can still specialize even though you're not an expert.
Mhm.
Have you found that as well, or with the people that you work with?
Yes, exactly. This is exactly what I try to explain them. You can specialize. I try to avoid the words they are all scared about, like niche or positioning. But I try to explain them that they can be specialized to a specific topic or a specific problem to solve or a specific audience. There are several ways you can
Yeah,
specialize. And I try to push them to find out what are the things that their audience are talking about and what are the things that they love and find the sweet spots between the needs of the market and what they want to deliver.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think, what I've noticed is there are a couple challenges that people usually have and that I've experienced, I'm sure you've experienced as when you're trying to start up a conversation with a potential client. And one is why they should talk to you in the first place. So it's one that they even know you exist, it's part of it. And then you want to get to a call. So how do you get to that call? What is the mechanism that makes it worth hopping on the phone? Because if it's just, hey, I'd love to get to know you sometime, and I've tried that.
Hmm.
It's like
Doesn't
doesn't
work.
go anywhere. They don't know why this is valuable off the get-go. And I do think there is an element of, okay, now I know you exist. Why should we talk in the first place? And why are you, meaning the facilitator, somebody special that I should be paying attention to? Whatever
Hmm.
that answer is. And then the fourth thing that really leads into what we were talking about with door openers is that a lot of times people have this expectation of, oh, we had a conversation, let's get married. And that's a jump into now I'm expecting you to hire me, especially if you have a higher price point, that I'm expecting you to hire me and let's just go do this.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way in corporates. Corporates move very, very slow. And there are a lot of other people involved. And whoever you talk to, assuming that they like you and you vibe and everything, now they become your internal champion.
Hmm.
But what I see a lot of people do is, and people did this to me when I had the executive role. I would be like, oh, I love this. This is really cool. And all of a sudden, it was like my job to sell them internally,
Hmm.
and that was work I didn't have time for. So then I feel bad because I did like them, but I can't get the CEO's attention. I can't get everybody to show up for this meeting or convince them. Or now I have to put it together a slide deck to explain why we should spend money on somebody else that isn't me when I've got other stuff to do. And it makes it hard on our internal champions. And they still love us and they want to make something happen, but it isn't easy. So we have to do whatever we can to make it easier for them to have to spend as little time as possible. But that gets us then in front of other people. It makes them look brilliant for having us. And when we talk about getting our foot in the door, at least that's how I do it. Do you do anything different in terms of how you go about making that happen?
No, when I have a conversation with the clients, what I try to do is make the conversation all about them. So
Yeah.
actually, I'm not someone who is pitching for hours, but I will explore and be a little detective for how much time the client want to talk to me. And what I recognize is that clients are people and people love to share about what they care, love to share about what they are achieving, and slowly love when they feel trust and they feel that they are heard,
Yeah.
they have no problem then to share the challenge that they have, what they have tried. And this is where I always tell in any conversation with potential clients, you should always use one of the most important skill of a facilitator is asking questions and
Yeah.
asking questions and mirroring and using really the active listening to find out what are the challenges that I in my head that I could tackle and not make it about my offer, but making about the solution I can bring them.
Yeah.
So this is how I do this. It's not always working, but it gives me a lot of insight how, and this is the way I want to approach clients.
Yeah. Nothing will always work. Like
No,
the best sales processes ever don't always work. Like if you have a 40% close rate, that's pretty great. Even if you had a 20% close rate, if you talk to 5 clients, great. It still works. It doesn't always work. And that's, I think, the trick.
hey, quick announcement. Since everything we are talking about in this episode with Tim, we are challenges into a live event and you're invited. It happens on May 27 at 5 p.m. CEST, means Berlin time. We're hosting a free session inside the Fit for Facilitation community called 10,000 Ways to Get Your Feet in the Door with Clients. So what we'll cover, why door opener workshops help you close more business, the 4 keys to make clients say yes easily, and how to create compelling ones that are totally unique to you and that you can pitch to your client. And we'll be, of course, unveiling our brand new tool called the Door Opener Factory. It gives you over 10,000 recipes, unique workshops, options to pitch to your client. We did the math. And to grab your spot, head to fitforfacilitation.com. If you haven't registered, you can register there. This is a community with 1,093 members today, and it's totally free. Go to the community event. You can, of course, explore the other events that are proposed in the time you are clicking in, and then go to 10 ways to get your feet in door with clients. And register there. Go, I'm going, add to calendar, and then we will meet there live. I hope to see you there. Excited.
But the whole notion of the door openers, because we should talk about that, I suppose, before we run out of time.
I just want to talk about that.
The whole notion of the door openers is, okay, one, how do we get those conversations going? And then once you've had the conversation, how do you keep things moving forward without jumping right to, here's a proposal, please hire me? And it's funny, literally, we call it a proposal, but using that, let's get married, that's what you do, you propose. And it's like, let's date a little bit first.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make it easier to get a yes than if you just jump right up to it and you hope. And we're always in a rush, me too. Like you want that thing signed right away. But corporate sales cycles don't work that fast. It will take months. It just does. The only difference is sometimes they call you because you've built that relationship and they have something and then it happens faster. But usually it's very slow until it isn't, and then it's very fast. But the beauty of the door openers is that they become something that you can offer that should be irresistible. It's easy for them to say yes to. It provides a lot of value. It requires very little work for them. And then it gives us exposure to more people within the organization and more learning. Because that's the other thing. We're listening to the client, except as you said earlier, clients are actually people, and we're only listening to one of them usually. And we don't necessarily know what other people think. And the more we hear that, it becomes really powerful, because then we can go in and say, listen, I heard this from the chief strategy officer, and I heard this from the CEO, and I heard this from the head of HR and learning and development. They're saying the same thing, but slightly different. And yet everybody thinks that nobody agrees. I actually think you're really, really close, and we could solve that and move you forward, or whatever the thing is. That's a real thing that I had with a client once, is they were all thinking the same thing, but you have to hear those other viewpoints. And that's the other beauty of a door opener workshop, is you start the momentum, but it's really easy to say yes to.
Yeah. So let's talk about the door opener factory.
The door opener factory.
The door opener factory. I'm so excited to talk about it.
Well, so maybe just to jump in on it, because this is literally, as you and I were just bouncing around this topic, and we were like, oh, this sort of thing is so valuable to people, and people don't necessarily know how to do it or what that looks like. And there's a million ways to do it, as with lots of these things. Like I, for a long time, just said, hey, I'd love to just do a simple workshop with you, or brainstorming or something. Like I was so vague about it. And that didn't help. Like they need specificity to say, that's cool, I want that. And when we were talking, the first thing, I guess the gestation of the idea was I had shared some things and you had shared some things. And I was like, we have 25 really killer ideas here,
Of
but
door
they need
openers.
of door openers, but they need context. And we started to realize there's a system. And at some point we're like, this would be really valuable. We should just build this for people. And that's where it went, basically, the springboard. So as you said, something that was like 4 weeks ago,
Yeah,
and we're
crazy.
still tightening it, but what we're now calling the Door Opener Factory, which is
Mm-hmm.
at dooropenerfactory.com,
Mm-hmm.
is essentially a platform that will help facilitators and consultants. It's really for anybody who does workshops. You don't have to be an independent facilitator. A lot of times, a lot of consultants I know use workshops to get their foot in the door. So this works really well there. And we've kind of built it like a card deck, but it's also a platform and also training. It works all of this together to help people understand what it is, how to pitch it, how to build one that is unique to you or unique to the client. And that's one of the things that I think is really cool about how this tool has evolved. Like,
Yeah.
you can use it in advance, but you could also, well, you just had this happen. Maybe tell your story about, like, literally had an opportunity where you're like, oh, I could just use this right now.
Yeah, I will tell the stories, but just to make it a little bit clearer for the people who are listening. So the door opener factory use 4 ingredients that you combine together to create a door opener. Means a workshop that you can propose for companies so that they can experience your work, they can build trust, and you offer them straight away something valuable that is whether for free, if it has sense, or a low entry price, or something that, so you can decide on how you propose it. And the 4 ingredients of this, do we reveal the four
Sure.
ingredients?
We can
Yeah.
reveal the 4 ingredients.
So the 4 ingredients are the vehicle first. So the vehicles is the kind of session format that you could propose: an ideation session, a feedback session, a diagnostic, whatever. The territory is the second category. It is the kind of topic that you could address or that you could ask your client what they are caring about in the last days: innovation, leadership, culture, whatever. The third category is, and I think this is the most
The big one.
valuable category, is all the entry points that you can have in companies, the gathering that are already existing. Means where you could plug in to propose your session.
It's something
I
they
will
were going
give,
to do anyway.
yeah,
And now we're offering to make it more valuable, which makes it really
exactly.
easy to say yes to.
Exactly. It means that you are plugging in something that is already existing so that the client don't have to extra take away their teams to have a session with you. I give one example: lunch and learn. A lot of
Yeah.
companies are doing lunch and learn. The first category are the assets that you can give away at the end of the session: a report, for example, a map, or whatever. So we have created first these card deck that are now implemented in an app where you can click one card of each category, giving some context about what you want to offer, whether you already had a conversation or you will have a conversation with the client. You can put all your context. And this app, and I experience it today, and we are still in the prototype phase, is absolutely amazing. So I will tell my little
That's so
story.
cool to hear.
I will tell my little story. I have been doing a survey with 50 HR leaders and L&D leaders from big companies in Singapore, because I'm preparing a podcast for teams with my dear friend Lisa Partridge. So we asked them to help us shape this podcast for teams, asking them a few questions about their biggest challenge. So it was a survey. But at the end of this survey, we ask also, would you like us to come to your companies to make a short session to surface the real challenge of your team members? Because we have your answer as a leader, but we would like to surface the challenge of your teams. And I have to reach out to these people and to make a proposal, because to all the people who say yes to this, I want, of course, to say, hey, you say yes to this. This is what we are proposing. And I was thinking today morning, I can use our app and see what is coming out because it takes work to do that.
Yeah.
So I went to our little app, the Door Opener Factory, and I chose 4 cards, which were an exploration session in the first category. In the second category, alignment was the topic that I chose. In the third category, it was lunch and learn. And in the fourth category, I put report. And I got a 1-pager. Here it is. A 1-pager that I can send to my customer with an amazing. So I need to rework it a little bit, of course. We are in the prototype phase. It's not finished, but he proposed me to send a 1-pager called the Alignment Reality Check, a cross-functional brainstorming session to surface your team's hidden challenges. And I have what you'll experience, what you'll work away with, who the easiest for, the duration, the format, and everything. And I got 3 emails, one for cold outreach, one for warm or follow-up email, and one for the internal champions. I was like, I sent you a video just before we record this. It was like, oh my God.
It's working.
It saved me like hours of work. Facilitators will just love it because you just need to click, give a little bit of context, of course, of what you want to propose, and you have everything. You have everything to send to your customers.
Well, and it's worth saying because we know what it looks like, and we're still building it, so we're still figuring out how to explain it. So for anybody who may not be following what we're saying on the podcast, we apologize. But what's cool about it is when you pick the right thing from each category, you also can add context notes. You can tell it about the client. You can tell it about yourself, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of back end advice and stuff that we know about the best way to put together a 1-pager, the best way to email people, the best way to put this together as a proposal. And we keep adding these things. But essentially, the tool then generates these assets for you, or at least a first draft of it. But as you said, even in the early version, the first draft is like 85% there. You just change it a little bit. It allows us to then react really quickly. So if you have a client call and maybe you don't know what to pitch yet, but you'd like to do something, some sort of follow up with them or whatever, or maybe you did hear something, you can go put those elements into this and then immediately you'll have your stuff so you can get back to them really, really quickly. You don't have to sit down and write the whole thing. And you could, I'm sure, just jump into ChatGPT and ask it to do it, but you'll get something very generic out of it. Yeah. Whereas this is modeled to be compelling. I think that's the right word. As compelling as possible to this type of audience with this level of specificity. And so it works both as a brainstorming tool, giving you ideas that you wouldn't have known about, as well as then generating these assets and giving advice for how to get in. So that's how we're building it out. And it's so exciting when you have a real use case like what you just had. And I've been using it the same way, just demoing it. And for anybody, by the way, depending on when this goes out, we're not that far from having it ready to go, certainly in the next month or two, I think sooner, but just in case. It's always at the end that you find bugs. But we've got a waiting list already. If you just go to the website, dooropenerfactory.com, you can sign up for the waiting list, and we'll be asking people to come in and start testing the platform too, because I think that's going to be a valuable thing as people try it on and get early access to it and help make it even more powerful. But as far as like this missing thing, which was our whole conversation when we started talking about this podcast that we're doing now, we just felt like, oh, there's something missing between people know the facilitation skills, and even it's like a step beyond like generating the lead, which is also hard, like just putting it out there and doing the outreach and all of that stuff. And positioning is a whole different thing as well. But there's like this missing understanding of how do you keep moving it along in a way that is going to make it easy for them to say yes, get to know you even better. Because once you get your foot in the door, hence the name, then it's easier for them to think of you, call you back, use you repeatedly, refer you. All these different things get better as soon as you actually can get your foot in the door. But if all you've had is an email introduction or one conversation, And then what does happen is they get busy and they feel
Yeah.
bad, so they ghost you. When people ghost you, they're not trying to be jerks. They ghost you actually because they care and they don't have good news for you yet. So
Yeah.
it's hard, and yet they're really, really busy. And so all we can do is say, just checking in, but that doesn't help. Like,
No.
where can we add value in a simple way? Even if there is a proposal, hey, while that proposal is going, I'd love an opportunity. I think it'll make it easier for you to sell if we can find some little opportunity where I can add value. Do you do lunch and learns? Do you have a retrospective coming up? Are you brainstorming anything? I'd love to just help some initiative that you've got going already. And we've got cards for all these different potential things because it helps to be informed about what these are, how they work, why it's important to the client, how to generate value with it, and then how to pitch it on the back end, all wrapped up into a little, and we're calling it an app, but it's a
No,
website, but
yeah, it's a
to be
website. It's
clear.
a website.
Yeah.
I call it an app, but it's a website. But even without the website, by the way, the cards that we have developed, and for now we have 10 cards for each category. The cards give already a lot of inspiration for
Yeah.
people who maybe don't know what are the gathering that are already existing in corporates. For example, what are the kind of session that I could propose because they are not only brainstorming. What are the combination that I can already do with all these cards? So this is the first thing that is, I think, very, very valuable. And we make all our heart and soul to develop the cards so that it's easy to understand and to use. The website and the AI working in background, nurtured by our knowledge, nurtured by your experience in advertising, also
Hmm.
nurture in all the conversation that we had with the clients so far, help us to really make it so good that when you use the combination of the cards and the platform, the AI, then you have really everything set to start conversation with client, to ask the right question about their gathering, and to make a first door opener, an entry point that you can leverage as a facilitator. So I think I love it. I really think from all the mentees that I had in my programs, the ones that you had in your programs, the one who are looking to, how do I get customer, or how do I get to a customer? I think this will be a relief for them to have this, to help them, yeah, get their
Yeah.
feet in those company and show what they can do. And it's a door opener also in another sense, not only to get your feet in, but if you propose something that is surfacing, for example, challenge of teams, just thinking about the one that I want to offer to the
Yeah.
companies in Singapore, when you are able to surfacing the challenge of teams, then you are able to make the next proposal to help them solve some of this challenge you have surfaced in the first session that you have proposed. So it has a
And it's so
ripple
much
effect.
stronger because you actually heard from multiple people what those challenges were
Yeah.
versus guessing what it is or only hearing from one person what it is or whatever that might be. And it creates a bit of social proof, I think, even to
Yeah.
say, this proposal, we heard this person say this, we heard this person say this, we heard this person say this. It's as if they've already agreed that they want to do it because we built it around the words that they used. And I
Yeah.
think that's the really cool thing about it. And it's probably worth saying that a lot of times I have a lot of ideas. I'm sure you have a lot of ideas. Everybody listening, we're the sorts
Hmm.
of people that we have a lot of ideas. And it's easy to start something and lose momentum, like, get less excited about it as you go forward. But I think what's been really fun about this, two things. One is that we just keep getting more excited
Hmm.
every time we get together and we've pushed it further. And I love that. I think that's a signal that if zero people decides to buy this,
I will use it.
we'll use it, and it will still be, to use my words, a high ROI project. Like, we could sell none of it and it would still be valuable to us. But the
Absolutely.
other thing that I thought was cool, and I'd love to hear your perspective on it, because as I mentioned earlier, my positioning is all around how to create cultures of momentum. How do we
Hmm.
get people moving fast so that we understand what we're doing and we move along? And there's been a few times during the process where You've been like, well, maybe we should do it here. And I'm like, how about next week?
Yes, it's so true. He pushed me. Like we met, I think it was middle of February because I was still in Indonesia. I'm now in Europe.
So 6 weeks ago, in fairness.
6 weeks ago, we want to launch this in May. Okay. So it's like
And
in
I said
4
April.
weeks, 4 weeks from now. And
I
he
still
said
think we'll
April.
launch it in April.
We never met before. We never talked before.
Yeah, we knew each other from LinkedIn, but we had never had a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So people, it was like a click thing where really it was a match. It was a fit from the beginning. And we are absolutely excited to present this, this door opener factory to all of you very soon. So don't miss it. We will be on different community. Of course, we will go in the Fit for Facilitation community sphere to present it to the members of the Fit for Facilitation community, but we will have several things planned, like webinar and different things that we want to do. But if you don't want to miss it, go to dooropenerfactory.com, put your name in the waiting list, and then you will get all the information to make sure you can try from the very beginning the platform. You can have a look at it. You can give us your feedback. And yes, we don't have a date right now, but it might be in a few weeks.
I think we're going to be ready for people to be in there in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep pushing us to move forward. So it's been so much fun doing this with you so far. I hope people enjoyed on this podcast a little glimpse behind the curtain. There's so many more details that it would be a 3-hour podcast if we got into that. So
like our conversation every time we meet for one, we stay 2-3 hours. Show me your timer. You put a timer.
Yeah, the timer is up. The timer is up. So we wanted to.
No.
We're just paying attention. It was only up a couple minutes ago.
It was a great conversation, Tim. We are both on the other side of the planet. Tim in Los Angeles. I'm in Bali most of the time. That great collaboration was born through a Zoom call. So follow us on LinkedIn and go to the dooropenerfactory.com.
There's just dooropenerfactory.com.
Door Opener Factory. We'll put the link in the comments. And thanks you so much, Tim.
Thanks, Nachi.
I wish you a great, great day in Los Angeles.
Appreciate it. Sunny, you can see already.
Yeah, I see.
Yay. Thanks. Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.